Running world records are getting broken at a rate never seen before. Just in the last few weeks we have first seen Jared Nagu set a new indoor mile world record, only to keep it a week before Jakob Ingebrigtsen set both the indoor mile and 1500 meter world record. Grant Fisher also set the new indoor world records in the 3000 meter and 5000 meter. And the most crazy record of them all was just set by Jacob Kiplimo in the half marathon, running a 56:42. And this is hard to understand how it's even possible. He's averaging a pace of 2:42 per kilometer or 4:19 per mile. I'm currently running at this pace. Let's see how long I can keep it up. I could barely keep that pace for one single kilometer. So to keep this pace for 21.1 kilometer or 13.1 miles, that's just insane. But why are there so many world records being broken right now? If you're new to my channel, hi, my name is Göran, I'm a coach and physio, and besides getting extremely tired from running one single kilometer at the half marathon world record pace, I will in this video break down 6 possible reasons to why running seems to have been taken to a new level. These are the same model of shoes that Jacob Kiplimo used when he set the new half marathon record, the Nike Alphafly. And all of you who are into running haven't missed the so-called super shoe revolution in running, with more energy return giving foam and carbon plates in the shoes. And these super shoes exist both as road shoes, like these ones, but also as track spikes. When it comes to these super spikes that all of these recent track records were set using, one study showed that they offer around a 2% improved running economy. And one of the authors to this study says that this should translate to 1 to 1.5% improved times, which perhaps don't sound like much, but at an elite level it for sure makes a difference. If you take Grant Fisher's new world record on the 3000 meter at 7:22, that would mean around 4 to 7 seconds, which is quite much at that level. So I for sure think that this plays a role in the new records and elite runners getting faster. Not only for this performance boost, I also think that these softer foams that, at least in my experience, make me recover faster from hard runs, allows the elite runners to train more and a bit harder without getting overtrained or getting injured. And this, I think, can play a huge role. But these super shoes are nothing new. They have been around for the last few years, so they don't explain this recent boom in record-breaking performances. As mentioned, I think most of us runners have heard about the new super shoes both for road and track racing. But what many might don't think about is that there are actually happening tech improvements when it comes to the track surfaces the runners are racing on as well. Just like the shoes, modern tracks are designed to give you energy back every time your foot hits the ground. These new kinds of super tracks from the track manufacturer Mondo were installed at the Paris Olympics, and the same kind of track were installed in New York for the Millrose Games, where both the new mile and 3000 meter world records were set. So how big of a difference do these tracks make? I have no idea, and I haven't found any studies on this, and it's probably hard to do a good study on. But if we should believe Mondo, the manufacturer of these kinds of tracks, they said that their latest track technology is 2% faster than their last version. And if that is true, again, 2% is pretty huge at the elite level. Talking about the tracks, we also have to mention the new Wavelight technology that was first introduced and allowed to be used in competition back in 2019. This basically is a light on the inside of the track, making it easy for the runners to follow an exact pace. And as a coach and runner myself, I for sure have experienced how extremely important it is to pace your races even or with a slight negative split to get the most out of your body to run fast times. In the past, I'm sure that many record attempts were destroyed by a too fast opening of the race. I got to try the Wave Light myself last autumn when I was racing a 5000 meter at Bislett in Oslo, and it for sure made it easier to run at a consistent, steady pace. The last couple of years there has come out more and more studies on a lot of legal performance enhancers that seem potent for improving athletes' performances. These are things like nitrate found in beets, sodium bicarbonate that I made a whole video about, and it seems that more and more elite athletes are using it. Also, broccoli sprouts is a new hyped thing that seems to have great potential in both helping elite athletes in their training to train harder and also boosting performance. And more advanced sports drinks allows athletes to take in more carbohydrates in the longer road races, where energy intake otherwise can be a limiting factor to your performance. And of course we have caffeine that has been known for a long time to be a performance enhancer, but I think the knowledge of how to use it optimal has become better and better. You're not supposed to take it like this, by the way. In general, it's actually better to take it as a pill, because then you can control the exact amount you get into your system, since the difference between 2 coffee cups can be quite big, and the difference in caffeine in these different kinds of beans is hard to control. So if the knowledge and use of these kind of legal performance enhancers are becoming more and more widespread, it can for sure make a difference in increasing the level of running. But it's really hard to say how big of a difference. Of course, it is also individual how you respond to these different legal supplements. I'm actually really curious about this subject myself, and I'm thinking of maybe doing a video where I basically do some sort of physiological test to see how using all of these performance enhancers would affect my running performance. Subscribe and comment down below if you would want to see a video like that here on the channel. Okay, of course no world records are bad, except maybe one of those silly Guinness World Records running the fastest marathon dressed as a clown or something silly like that. But the point I want to make here is that running these time trial indoor races with pacers trying to run really fast times wasn't as common in the past. The best middle distance runners in the past simply didn't try to get the best possible times indoors, or at least not as often. So that might be the reason that some of these new indoor world records are a bit easier to beat, at least compared to the outdoor records. But then again, for example, for the new 3000 meter indoor record by Grant Fisher, it is now only 5 seconds behind Jakob Ingebrigtsen's outdoor world record. And considering the more and sharper cornering you have to do on the shorter indoor tracks, those two performances shouldn't be too far apart. Unless maybe the indoor tracks has gotten so good that it doesn't make that big of a difference anymore. I for sure think that all of the mentioned things can play a role, but what I am the most interested in as a coach and what is fundamental to everything is the training. Because you can't just buy a pair of expensive shoes, take some bicarbonate, caffeine, and run a fast times on these new kind of super tracks without putting in a lot of hard work and dedicated training for many years. Training will always be the base and where you can make the biggest difference. Of course, for these elite runners competing for world titles and records with really small margins being the difference between winning and losing, all of these small marginal things and tech advancements we talked about can and most probably will make a difference. But for you and me who are far from that level, of course the biggest improvements will be seen from how smart and how much we train. And also here it seems like a lot of runners at the top are having a bit more of a scientific approach to training, with more testing, more dialed in training intensities, a lot of threshold training that allows them to train more without getting overtrained or injured. Here the Norwegian method has been a big influence on a lot of runners, with a lot of running around that lactate threshold intensity. And as a coach, I think that this way of training at least allows more talents to reach their potential because I believe that the more traditional way of training for these runners with super hard intense workouts being close to all out, I think burns out more athletes, and more athletes end up with long-term injuries. As someone who suffered with different injuries throughout my whole elite career myself, this is the one thing I would change if I could go back. I would dial back the intensity on most of my harder runs, and this would have allowed me to run more without getting injured and get that consistency over time that we know is needed for improvement and reaching your potential. If you like my work and want access to bonus content, training programs and more, you can click here. Thanks for watching, train smart, have fun, and I will see you in the next video.